frog. White Claw waterfall, baby. Tastes just like the glaciers.
Is this good or is this bad for Bitcoin? I'm sure many of you guys have seen videos and talking points about why this is good for Bitcoin, maybe as well why it's bad. I think there's a lot of opinions out there, and I want to go over my thoughts on this. On this platform, you see a lot of positivity because that is better for many things in terms of growing a channel, but we're just going to be talking about what is more likely, in my opinion, about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency over the coming month or two, specifically in this video. So if that sounds good to you, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, all the good stuff, and we can just jump right into the video. So a quick precursor to this video is Bitcoin's price. And before we talk about that, I want to talk about posts and ideas such as this. So this was posted by Trading Shot on TradingView. Let me get back to that real quick. So right here, essentially, what this individual is calling for is a September pump. This September pump primarily in this person's chart right here, Trading Shot, is based on previous patterns and previous times back in 2016 where similar situations happened. And I just want to point out as well, you could look basically anywhere on a chart and find a case for something happening and how it's similar to now and how it could happen now. But in my opinion, I don't necessarily think that that really makes too much sense. And you could just as easily find things that do the opposite. Patterns in the chart which look exactly like certain things and then play out completely differently than this exact pattern here. So things change, things perform differently, and other things happen. And I think that's kind of just the basis for these types of posts here. So this is his entire article here. And some of the top comments here, individuals said, comparing past cycles to current cycles is pointless. The landscape has changed drastically. And then the next one says, I'm not optimistic. I'm definitely long in the greater scheme of things, 5 years plus, but never forget that basically where we were a few months ago back at 3 and 4K, where we are now, and how it might be necessary to come back down. So I want to switch to, and again, this is an article kind of actually a little more bearish. Bitcoin eyes 9K price support after drop to 1 month lows. So we switched to Bitcoin on the daily chart. Something people have been talking about, it's very clear here, what is considered a descending triangle. And real quick before we get any deeper into this and look at the chart here, if you go to Investopedia, or you can really go anywhere, a descending triangle is usually considered a bearish pattern. And this is the figure they have here, as opposed to an ascending triangle. And then they have symmetrical triangles as well, but this is a descending triangle. So flat here and descending along the highs there. The development of a descending triangle takes the same amount of time as the ascending triangle, and volume plays an important role in the breakout. Some analysts believe increased volume is not that important. But again, this is kind of the classic pattern. This is not guaranteed to break down, but I do want to talk about this here. And guys, if you've been following the channel, you know that I don't really stress out too much about posting, I guess, politically correct or the same format type video or playing it safe. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't really care too much in terms of, am I going to lie to an audience for a purpose, whether that's growing a channel, getting a lot of clicks or whatever. I don't necessarily care too much. I'm kind of doing this for fun. That's exactly what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it for fun. But yeah, I mean, at least to me, and I could be off, but this looks like a more bearish pattern. And I don't think a lot of people say it. There are some people that you come across that, of course, will always be bearish and will, of course, always say things like that. But yeah, it seems more bearish than bullish. And in the short term, is it good for Bitcoin and the price? I don't think so necessarily. Now you could say the idea, if Bitcoin went up forever, would that be good? No, that wouldn't be good either. But that doesn't make the fact that it's going down automatically good. Just because if it would be overextended, that's bad. I think the situation in terms of the price, short term, whether that's a month or two or even shorter time frame than that, but I tend to think more towards a month minimum, it seems like this is a more bearish pattern. And what do I mean by that? It means we could see some significant pullback in the future. And this is something I was talking about maybe a month or two ago when I was doing more regular uploads, is about this pattern not looking really very natural and how it seems like we would probably get a pullback. Now fast forward to where we are now in the end of August going into September, it looks as though that looks very clear. It looks as though that is the direction that the market wants to head. And without muddying things too much with, more like 1 hour charts of this, whatever kind of indicators, that just clearly to me looks like what the pattern is. It looks like we're going to go down. And clearly over the past few hours, it continues to go down. We're about to get a monthly close on the chart, and I can actually switch to the 1 month real quick just so you can see. We're about to get a monthly red candle after 5 consecutive monthly green candles. We had 6 consecutive red, 5 consecutive green, and now, in my opinion, again, many of you guys will not maybe like to hear this, but yeah, it does not, I don't necessarily think that we're going to be testing 14K by next week in Bitcoin's price. And the same goes for Litecoin, the same goes for all cryptocurrencies. That just seems to be what is the case there. Now we do have roughly 8 or 9 months going into the halving, so we could see a turnaround, but I want to point your attention to the last halving. During the last halving, the middle of the last halving, we found a bottom, and then slowly over the last remaining months before that halving did continue to go up. Now it looks like a very much different situation, because instead of maybe finding a bottom, if we did not cement it for about 8 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months right along that bottom of around 200 for Bitcoin, right? This time we maybe cemented it for 2, maybe 3 months max, and then went up parabolically right here, absolutely straight up for about 3 months, 3 straight months of insane, ridiculous gains. And just with my experience in the market and just with how these things tend to work, I don't necessarily think that we're gonna immediately stop right where we're at right now and continue to have another 3 months of green parabolic gains up to 20K plus. That doesn't seem realistic. Again, guys, is this good for Bitcoin? In the long run, yeah, I think all of it's good for Bitcoin, because that just makes sense. I mean, Bitcoin, is it good for Bitcoin right now? No, it doesn't necessarily seem like it, in the sense of, are you gonna have return on investment sky high like 2 months from now? No, it's not good for Bitcoin. In the long run for Bitcoin, again, yeah, probably, but that kind of doesn't have any value at all. People watching these videos retain information for 3 or 4 days, and then they want another update, if not every single day and everything like that. So right now, no, I think it would be fair to say it is not really good for Bitcoin in terms of the price right now. But you can always say, is this good for Bitcoin long term? Yes, basically anything is good for Bitcoin long term, depending on how you look at it. And if you just want to frame it for your viewers that everything is good for Bitcoin, then that's fine. That's dandy, but yeah, again, I would say right now, it's not necessarily good for Bitcoin. With that being said, does that guarantee that we're going to have a break to the downside in the coming days as this just tightens and tightens as it's been for the past 2 months? No, it doesn't guarantee it at all either, but this pattern is a fairly clear pattern. It's not up to much interpretation. There seems to be a very clear bottom right around this area here, and let me just draw a rectangle kind of in this area right about here, where that completely 1, 2, 3, 4 over the past 2 month touches are, and you can see the highs are getting clearly much lower, much lower. 14K right around here, and then we have about 13K, and then we have about 12K, and then our next high was around 11K, so about $1,000 less each time. And another 10K pump up to this area would be at the top of this descending triangle right here. So if that happens, again, I would not get immediately bullish and say this is good for Bitcoin right now, because that would make sense if it came up to here, but we could really see a breakdown at any point in this entire descending triangle right here, which gives us about another 2 or 3 weeks where we could be trading in there. But it really does seem like the pressure wants to go down, even if it is completely based on a few large holders selling Bitcoin at certain key points, whether it's clear manipulation or whatever. This pattern seems, again, very clear, and it does look as though things are probably going to go down in the near future. And something I want to draw your attention to that more people, again, you might not want to hear, but I'm not here for the views. My concern is giving that true information out, right, guys? But yeah, so my point here is it looks as though there's a significant amount of room that we could go down. I'm saying essentially three massive candles over the past 2 months, or actually the past 5 months almost, beginning in April, that started this magnificent rally. We could just as easily go down much further from there. Not saying it will, but to me, that seems like it makes sense. And again, that's another reason why I haven't necessarily been, there's a few reasons why I haven't posted as much recently, but definitely one of the factors is I have thought for a while, and if you can go back and watch a few of my videos, I've thought for a while, I think we're probably going to have some time where we pull back. And again, when that's the case, there's not a ton of content to make, but I'm trying to do it now, make the content with this idea now, especially after these things are seemingly more confirmed, so I feel more justified in making a video about it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. When I read comments or see things like similar to this article about, yeah, we're gonna have a massive September pump, I can't help but not roll my eyes, but not believe it, because I just don't think that makes sense. I don't think we're going to have consolidation here and whoop, pull back up and go back to 12K immediately. Maybe we will. Again, anything could happen, but it doesn't really make sense to me. Sometimes the market doesn't make sense, but lately it seems to be making some pretty clear patterns for sure, and this pattern to me is very clear. Again, all of 2018 had a very clear pattern, a descending triangle. You see it right here, very large descending triangle, and that we have a much smaller one now. Just for fun, the percentage drop from the end of this triangle was about 50 almost percent. So if we take, it was about 45, so let's take another 45 down, bring us down to maybe about $5,000 per Bitcoin. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't really know. If this, in my opinion, continues this trend longer and longer, I think 5,000 is a reasonable guess to where this market could go in the short term. And I'm talking about a month or two here. I'm not talking about 6+ months. I'm talking more short term, because I think that's mainly what you guys care about. And also these videos, again, expire pretty quickly. They don't have very long shelf lives. Usually after about 2 or 3 days, videos are kind of irrelevant, especially in this space. So those are just my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you guys are new, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in the next video.